There are a lot of times in the Trump era that we have to remind ourselves, and I think this is so important to step back and kind of do this, that what's happening is not in any way normal. I mean, for example, it is definitely not normal for the First Lady of the United States to have to come out and remind us all that she exists.
Good afternoon. I heard you missed me. Here I am.
Here I am. I've watched that 20 times today. Yes, that was Melania Trump today, making her first public appearance in over a month. It's one of only a handful of rare sightings. And according to the Daily Beast, who actually tallied this up, thank you, Daily Beast, the First Lady has only been seen in public 38 days this year. It is the end of August, everyone. That is not normal. And of course, it's also not normal for the president to be accompanied so frequently by an aide like this woman, who you can see on your screen, Natalie Harp. We all know who she is now. And I don't mean it's not normal for the president to have aides who travel with him everywhere, including female aides. But believe me, I've been one of those several times. Plenty of presidents have those. But it is not normal for a person working in the White House to write intimate, devotional, personal letters for the president, to the president, never mind leave them in his personal spaces. But that is what Natalie Harp does. It's not normal for a person without a security clearance who refused to fill out the forms for some reason to have close, regular access to the president. But MS Now reports that Natalie Harp did just that for an entire year. It's not normal for that same person to be the point of contact for foreign leaders hoping to speak to the president. But according to the New York Times' Maggie Haberman, Natalie Harp is that person too. It's not normal for a staffer to ride inside the trunk of a car just to be close to the president, as CNN reports that Natalie Harp did to be close to Trump back in 2023. It's also not normal for the president to have an aide so devoted that she sprints alongside his golf cart when he's out on the links. But the New York Times reports that Natalie Harp did exactly that. It's not normal for the president to basically have an adult babysitter of sorts, to have a human security blanket who accompanies him everywhere he goes. But that is the role that Natalie Harp plays for Donald Trump. And apparently, he is not even the only one in the Trump administration with a babysitter, because the New York Times is out with new details about the very outsized, very hands-on role that Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth's wife plays in the department he oversees. As the Times points out, quote, there has never been a Pentagon spouse quite like Jennifer Hegseth. And, quote, her involvement in the Defense Department is so unusual that it has led to questions about Mr. Hegseth's leadership. Jennifer Hegseth has been playing the role of babysitter for her husband since, well, almost immediately after he was nominated. I mean, she was constantly at his side. Remember this when he was interviewing with senators ahead of his confirmation hearings? In fact, the Times notes that she startled Republican senators when she showed up at what are usually typically private meetings. And while Hegseth later acknowledged it was unusual, he insisted it just felt right.
It was unusual. I remember the first meeting we went to that she came with. I was like, and then it felt so right and so natural, not because of anything else, just because we've always been ride or die. It's always been, we're doing this together. And so when we did that first, I was like, oh, this is the way it's going to be the whole time. It's got to be. And so we made it happen so that she could be with me.
It's got to be. It certainly does not have to be. But that turns out that was just the beginning. Last year, the Wall Street Journal reported that Pete Hegseth brought his wife to sensitive meetings with foreign military officials that included one occasion where she accompanied her husband to a high-stakes meeting with top British defense officials, a meeting that came just one day after the Trump administration cut off military intelligence sharing with Ukraine. And now the New York Times is shedding new light on that incident and revealing just how problematic Jennifer Hegseth's presence was at that critical moment. Here's what it says, quote, British officials indicated that they had officers on the ground in Ukraine and that without the U.S. intelligence, including early warnings of incoming missiles from Russia, the officers' lives were at risk. But those same British officials felt they could only speak in general terms about the situation because, quote, the presence of Mrs. Hegseth made them uneasy. Now, a Pentagon spokesperson said that Mrs. Hegseth was only in the meeting for introductions, left soon after, and has not been present for any Defense Department conversation or meeting where classified information was discussed. But we do know that Mrs. Hegseth has been privy to at least some sensitive intelligence. I mean, last year, the New York Times reported that Hegseth actually included his wife on one of his infamous Signal group chats where he shared detailed information about military strikes in Yemen. And Jennifer Hegseth's role at the Pentagon appears also to go beyond just being privy to sensitive discussions, which is in no way okay, but it's way beyond that. I mean, the Times reports that Mrs. Hegseth has also encouraged her husband's adversarial relationship with the news media and was eager to revoke the credentials of Pentagon reporters who she felt had written negative stories about her husband. That's according to one current and one former administration official. She's also become something of a cheerleader for his aggressive, chest-thumping style of leadership at the department. I mean, she even appeared alongside her husband for a workout with sailors and Marines after the Trump administration launched its war with Iran. You can see the two of them there wearing matching shirts that say, "This is war," not in any way understanding the irony of that, given they were saying it was not a war. But that aside, I guess Lululemon was all out of shirts that say, I don't know, this is just a little excursion, I suppose. And here's the thing. Despite her constant presence at Pete Hegseth's side while he's on the job, the Pentagon won't even say whether or not she has a security clearance. Even Hegseth's own former Pentagon spokesperson finds the whole thing outrageous. As he told the New York Times, quote, "It's bonkers that a defense secretary would involve his wife in his sensitive official duties, including sharing details of an impending military operation and face zero consequences." But in Donald Trump's White House and administration, bonkers is kind of the new normal. Whether it's Pete Hegseth's wife or Natalie Harp, there are serious security concerns raised by the unusual roles that these people have assumed. And what can you do? Apparently, some adult men need their babysitters. There's that. And in this case, those men just happen to be the commander-in-chief and his secretary of defense.